Ghost of Yotei has been out for a few days, as of this video anyways, and the reception has been kind of milquetoast at best. Every single post of someone praising the game is someone either praising its use of the DualSense controller for a minigame, but there's never really any mention of its story or its characters. But what I've really noticed is that people are getting very mad at people like myself for simply not wanting to buy the game on principle alone, and that seems to bother them greatly. And then we have some other devs that are not learning that the political violence angle is clearly not working and instead doubling down. Before I do any of that, let's talk about this other story first because it also sets up everything else really nicely. So Christopher Dring is a games journalist and runs a website about games. Anyways, Dring broke the silence and decided to report on Yotei's sale numbers, so let's look at what he said. Dring said, "The UK box launch for Ghost of Yotei is really good. It is #1, which means it beat the second week of EA Sports FC 26 and sold almost 3 times what Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 on Switch did. I don't report on physical charts much these days, but I thought this notable. Then a user would ask for a comparison to Tsushima within the same period, and then Dring would reply that it's down about 40%, but he still finds it impressive. So it's selling less than Tsushima is what Dring is saying, but he's trying to mask that with saying it's selling more than other games right now. Okay. So as you would expect, websites have already taken this report and have begun the usual damage control that we would all see coming. Like this article is seen on screen here from twistedvoxel.com, yet that 40% less quote is of course buried in a sea of paragraphs within the actual article in order to try to hide that to push a narrative. We've all seen this before. Look, again, I don't think Yotei will flop really either way, but that's really only because it costed way less to make than most AAA games. That will be Sucker Punch's saving grace here at least, and if you enjoyed the content, consider doing all the YouTube stuff from commenting, liking, and more. Thank you. But what I do find funny is how mad people are getting online that other people just don't want to buy or play the game. It was funny seeing people like Mighty Keith earlier trying to say that Yotei was a Game of the Year contender when it first came out. As if these people think that they're eating some delicious pizza and going, "Oh, this pizza's so good. Don't you want a piece of this pizza? Because it's really good, trust me." And then a lot of people are frankly just saying, "No thanks, we're good." And then these people eating their so-called delicious pizza are now angry that you don't want a slice. Like, I've never seen people get so angry online that people just don't want to buy a video game. You had posts like this one which said, "Calling Ghost of Yotei woke but ignoring there's a canonically lesbian character in Tsushima, but these grifters wouldn't know that because they haven't played the game." Well, I 100% did Tsushima, but I did not play Yotei. That's true, because no thank you. But I just love it how angry these people are. They're not playing it because it's woke. No, you idiots. People don't want to play Yotei because the lead actor openly celebrates and promotes domestic terrorism via Antifa as an organization. How do they keep forgetting that? Like, these people just can't seem to understand this, so they try to mask the actual reason with some other reason that they come up with to play into their narrative. Yotei, in terms of woke elements, if you want to go there, it's a lot more subtle than usual. It is definitely still there, but the major reason is the Antifa thing. Like, for example, okay, the game ends with Atsu, the main character, raising the daughter of her dead brother with an older woman. Yeah, we see what you're trying to do there, Sucker Punch. It's not very subtle. Like, these people are getting mad that the majority of the player base at large has become increasingly aware of what can only be called pattern recognition. You know, the concept that has saved the human race from dying out for thousands of years now? Oh, if you fall off a cliff, you die. Oh, if you just stay underwater too long, you drown. So maybe I shouldn't do those things. Yeah, that's pattern recognition, or I guess we could just call it common sense now too if you want. So using that same concept that we should all have but seem to not have based on these idiots online saying what they've been saying, it's becoming very clear that they don't understand that a lot of people are just using their brains. They're seeing the pattern of, oh, it's an activist main character again, all the men are bad again, all the women are good again, and this actor supports Antifa openly. Now, where have I seen this sort of thing before? Oh, right, in many other games that I also didn't buy or play because they too push this sort of stuff. So what do? People just don't buy it because pattern recognition, fellas. Wow, an amazing concept. Imagine that. Like, these people really tried to guilt trip me or you all they want. I'm still not gonna buy Yotei. I don't care if it does well or not. Even if it does sell well or the Game Awards gives it awards for like whatever category, it's still not gonna make me buy it. Why does nobody get mad at me when I also don't buy Gran Turismo games? It's just pattern recognition again there too. Oh, it's a racing game? All you do in it is race? Yeah, I don't really enjoy that kind of game either, which is my right, so I won't buy Gran Turismo either. Doesn't mean I hate Gran Turismo or its developers or something, it's just clearly not a game series that is meant for someone like me. Same with puzzle games. I'm not a fan of those either. Doesn't mean we need to boycott puzzle games, they're just not for me. And Yotei is saying and doing things that I am just frankly bored of seeing in games too much, so now naturally, I'm not gonna buy it. But man, are they still pissed regardless that I'm not buying it, dude. Like, let me put it this way so that the people who are very mad that others aren't buying this can just understand where we're coming from, okay? Let's say that Ghost of Yotei was coming out, but instead the lead actor got ousted as a far-right conservative with Yahtzee views. Like, remember that infamous post that began all of this? This one right here on screen with Erika Ishii admitting that she's Antifa, as you're seeing here. Now, just imagine the same scenario, but she says that I'm a Yahtzee, and so is my wife. Now, would these pro-Yotei buyers then buy the games themselves? Probably not, right? They would likely go, oh wow, this person is a literal Yahtzee and supports something that clearly goes against my own beliefs. Yeah, I don't think I want to support that game. Okay, it's literally that, but replace it with Antifa, guys, which is the real thing that's happening, obviously. And I don't think how much more clearer this can be for these people to understand. I don't want to support a game where the person I'm literally forced to play as is someone who openly advocates for domestic terrorism. And honestly, it also shines poorly on Sucker Punch because they knew that she posted this 5 years ago and clearly did nothing about it and instead kept her as the face of the game instead. So maybe they too believed in what she was saying as well. So how can I, in good faith, buy this game knowing that if I do, I'm supporting that sort of ideology and think? I just won't do it. Like, that's all this is. These types can try to say, oh, it's because woman main character. Like, what are you talking about? You mean like Stellar Blade or Wu Chang or any of the Resident Evil games that all star women as well? Not to mention how many other JRPGs star women too, and people love those games, and plenty of men played all of those games no problem and played as these women and had zero issues with any of those games. Like, what does this have to do with her being a woman? Yeah, I mean, it is hilarious that Atsu can yell bow down to your queen unironically. She slices down Yotei criminals, which is hilariously out of touch girl boss slob nonsense. But no, it's because she supports Antifa, guys. Like, they're grasping so hard here to try to make the people who didn't buy Yotei into villains when they're not. Oh, you don't support domestic terrorism? What are you, a Yahtzee? Like, listen to yourselves. You sound like walking parodies, and the fact that these people can't realize this is actually sad more than really anything else. Yes, people have morals. I know that's hard to understand when the type of people who support Antifa and stuff like that clearly don't themselves, because they realize they're throwing their lives away and their abilities to get jobs in the future by supporting actual cultists and destroying places like America just because some Reddit thread told them that it's the right thing to do, or like Discord or something. Like, how do you people not realize you're being played by others who don't care about you if you were to pass away or get jailed for this sort of stuff? You have to realize that what you're doing is clearly completely wrong and no one cares about you, and that you're just being brainwashed by these sorts of people to meet their own ends. And then when an actor openly supports this same kind of clearly hateful rhetoric, which I thought these types were against hate speech, but I guess it's really only hateful if they disagree with it, then it's, yeah, a problem. Like, let me make it very clear for the people who are pro Yotei or whatever, even if Erika Ishii said that she was a pro Yahtzee, I would also not buy the game. Does that make sense to you? Is it forming thoughts in your brains amidst all the SSRIs and such that I just don't want to play games that are made by radicals? Does that make sense to you? Like, how many times on this channel do I have to say stuff like when I talked about Helldivers 2 so many times, or anything else, where I have said that I don't want Make America Great Again helmets in Helldivers 2 just as much as I don't want rainbow capes in that game either? How can these people not understand that I just don't want any of this stuff in my games? I don't care what side it is, what they're pushing. I don't want any of it at all. Zero. But it's obvious that these types can't really understand that because, again, they don't have any original thoughts in their heads anymore. It's becoming a foreign concept to them to be their own individuals. I can't imagine living my life being an NPC like this, how you can look at yourselves in the mirror and not see how deep down this hateful rhetoric you're advocating for with things like Antifa and more is clearly a net negative on society and your lives, and not realizing that people just don't want anything to do with people who are like this. I don't want Ghost of Yotei to have a Yahtzee colored flag, sword, or kimono or anything either. I just wanted a game that was fun to play, that wasn't made by people who are crazy and support domestic terrorism, man. And even then, that's becoming a tall order by the games industry now. So remember, this whole thing began with Yotei because Drew Harrison, that was the game developer at Sucker Punch, that made a joke celebrating when, Charlie Kirk passed away. We all know this. Anyway, and that alone was reason for a lot of people to just say no to Yotei already. But now with the added bonus of Erika Ishii here promoting and celebrating that she is a part of the same ideology that also led to that guy on that rooftop to shooting Charlie, and they can deny it all they want, but that's that's the truth. Yeah, color me not surprised that people are not willing to buy this game now. And then that same Drew Harrison, the one who got fired for the joke, which wasn't a joke, it was actually a celebration of death no matter what any games journalist tries to say, finally broke their silence on Blue Sky recently. And what did they say? Well, let's read it as seen here. As it turns out, my joke didn't make the game do any worse, my firing didn't make the game do any better. So really the only thing that the harassment campaign succeeded in was sucking all the joy out of my life, so I guess that's a win. So even in the aftermath, Drew, you still fail to understand. You did this to yourself. You were being conditioned by radical crazy people around you into celebrating the death of a man you didn't agree with because he wanted to have civil talks with other people. And the fact that besides all of this happening, you landed on the thought that all this ended up doing was ruining your own life is probably the only thing you probably learned from all of this. But the fact you also say the only thing the harassment campaign, which wasn't a harassment campaign, you were the one that you were openly celebrating death, dude. Like, don't even try to make yourself seem like a victim here because you're not. Is that you lost your job tells me that you have actually learned nothing from all of this. And the fact your profile unironically says punching Yahtzees till I die, that tells me everything we all need to know. That you have genuinely learned nothing from this life lesson at all. You are still the same hateful person you were when you were employed versus when you aren't now. And you lost your position at, you say, your dream job before because you gave into the hate of activists who very clearly do not support or back you in any way when push comes to shove. Like, are you realizing what's happening to you yet? Are the cogs in your brain turning? I'll say it slowly so that you understand. These people that you called friends, they never cared about you in the first place. They just filled your head with hate until you couldn't see things for what they really are. And now that you have paid the price and they haven't, you're frustrated, and I get that. But the best thing that you could do now is learn from this and become a better person. I don't hate this Drew Harrison, but if you're going to come to the conclusion that the result of your own actions is somehow not your own fault, there's really no saving you. This is like someone driving their own car into a restaurant that's full of people, and then when they're getting arrested, they're yelling, well, why was there a restaurant in the direction that I was driving in the first place? Like, there's zero accountability from these people. Drew Harrison even retweeted Aftermath.com, which attacked players who were disgusted by how game developers were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, and Drew Harrison retweeted it with a quote from it that she agreed with, which reads, "In my opinion, every company that has caved into their demands has contributed to the harassment and climate of fear the rest of us are enduring. And game companies that have done so, in particular, have painted a target on the back of every single person in this industry." The amount of tone deafness here is actually alarming. You people celebrated an innocent man dying. How in any of this are you painted as the victim here? We all know that if Hassan Piker got shot and some other game developer came out and said, yeah, he got what was coming to him or something, they would fire that guy. And you would all, as an industry, blacklist that guy for the rest of time too. This is not censorship. You were just advocating and celebrating political violence. How are you unable to see that? And by posting this, by retweeting with what you said, what are you trying to say then? Then what? Game developers should be allowed to advocate for political violence as long as the people said violence is unleashed upon are people that you don't personally agree with? How do you not understand how sickening that sounds? How warped your brains have become that this somehow is okay to say out loud and think that you're in the right here. You can't be serious. This just proves that these types like Drew here have honestly learned nothing from their mistakes. And before she tries to say, I'm harassing her or something, I am not doing any of that. Dude, all I wanted is for video games to not be political bludgeoning tools anymore. I want games to go back to what they were like in the early 2000s. Hell, even the 90s, maybe even the mid 2010s at best, if we're being honest. When games were just made by people of all types and colors and whatever, and they weren't so willing to ruin the very fabric of their studios and more to push some sort of stupid messaging. If you ask me, this Drew person is clearly mentally unwell, and hopefully they do get the help they need, but if you went through all of this from getting fired, and by the way, that tweet that got them fired is still up on their profile as also seen here, at least of this video being made, it's still up. It just shows me that Drew has learned nothing, and likely never will from any of this. And yet if I say maybe game devs shouldn't be celebrating death like this, they will call me a Yahtzee, because they have no concept of understanding anything that doesn't politically align with them 100% of the time. How do you get this through your heads, okay? We don't want any of this stuff. I don't want Yahtzee stuff. I don't want far less stuff. I just want cool video games. And we know that Sucker Punch was capable of doing that because the Sly Cooper, the Infamous games, and Ghost of Tsushima games all exist already, all made by Sucker Punch. And you guys clearly knew how to make games that were neutral in these regards, could tell stories even with politics in them before, and not alienate large swaths of your audience. games. Yet with Yotei, Sucker Punch pivoted so hard into the other direction, and look what's happening now. And it kind of does suck because I do like Sucker Punch's games. I love the Infamous games. I thought Ghost of Tsushima was great too. I don't hate Nate Fox who runs Sucker Punch either. But like, guys, can we be adults and come together and put this stuff aside and maybe realize that where things are going mutually is not in a healthy direction at all? Can you maybe not call anyone who calls for civil talk about things a Yahtzee and maybe hear them out before you start shrieking and chanting like they usually do, or block them on Twitter or something? Like, we're not far-right Yahtzees or something else that you've made up in your head. We just don't want video games to be politically hijacked by crazy people who clearly don't care about the audience expectations, like you are finding out right now by having Erika Ishii in your game. Now you're all suffering the consequences because of her and pretty much Drew. Like, if you didn't know, okay, there's a whole mission in Yotei, and I'm not kidding, where it's all about guns. And the mission basically ends with the message that the government should own the rights to all firearms so that the citizens don't run around with them, ending other people. Yeah, really on the nose there, Sucker Punch, calling for gun control by using your game set hundreds of years in the past in Japan of all places to push your own belief system. Which is honestly extra tone deaf considering your main character is quite literally a person who takes the law into their own hands and mercilessly ends hundreds of people with katanas and guns as well, by the way. And then not realizing that you missed the entire point and actually contradicted your own gun control claims because Atsu literally ends people with weapons. Which actually proves that maybe it's not the weapons that are the problem, but the people and their mental state, like your main character, that are the problems that need fixing instead. Because I don't know, you're the ones that made a whole game where an angry woman takes the tools around her to put the law in her own hands and just end people she dislikes because she's angry. Gee, I wonder where that's happened before. Only 3 weeks ago, some guy got sniped from a rooftop. Wow. Like, how did that go over your heads? How did you not make this connection when making the game and realize that the gun control mission completely unravels the entire messaging and story and character motivations of the very game you just made? Like, am I the one that's crazy? These people need they need consultants on these games, not to write the stories, but just to have common sense brought to the table. Sorry, I mean pattern recognition, if that word works better for you. They actually did that too, by the way. It's a real mission in the game, I'm not lying. But it's actually insane that they thought that they did something here, but instead self-owned themselves. Not to mention, they also push for weird relation stuff. Like, it's weird. Let me explain this, okay? Because in case you don't know, Atsu has weird romantic, like, tension with Oyuki in the game too. And to clarify, Oyuki is the Kitsune. That's one of the Yotei 6. You know, the people who ended Atsu's family in the beginning of the game. Yet by the end of the game, Atsu, now fully grown up, lives with Oyuki and they raise a girl together. So Sucker Punch implies that Oyuki, who was a fully grown woman that knew Atsu, who was a kid the night her family passed away, and then like years later, starts developing feelings for that same Atsu girl. And that wasn't weird at all to the people at Sucker Punch. Their grown up was clearly eyeing a little girl from a young age as someone they wanted to, you know, get with. Like, as if the Antifa stuff wasn't enough to just make you not want to buy the game, this just keeps getting worse, guys. They have gun control messaging that completely misses the point of the game. And now they got people who are words I can't say on YouTube or I'll get age restricted, and then they place it in a weirdly romantic way. Like, you couldn't pay me, honestly, to buy Yotei at this point. You can call me whatever it is that you want. It's just super weird. And frankly, I have no idea how Sony PlayStation reviewed this game's contents and went, oh yeah, this is totally something we want to push on our players for sure across the entire planet. Like, is everyone over there asleep at the wheel? Because this is bafflingly bizarre, man. They even have a part in the main mission of the game where Atsu beats up an entire bar full of men in hand-to-hand combat too, and it's played as being super badass. But that also just proves that weapons are clearly not the problem, but the people who are just crazy that are the actual real threat. And that all throughout the game, whenever Atsu meets men, she's also instantly angry and deflective, but whenever she meets a female character, she's bubbly and happy. Go figure. Like, does she not realize that the Kitsune woman helped the guys who ended her family too? Or, oh right, it's because like always in games like this, all women are victims and all the men are always oppressors. Remind me again why sales were down 40% in the UK? Yeah, it makes sense now. I mean, even Asmongold had some stuff to say about the Drew Harrison dev who was now complaining that their life is ruined by their own actions. So here's what Asmongold had to say. Please watch.
That's all there is to it. You sound like a douche right now. I've missed you, old Asmon. I am being a douche because I think these people are disgusting animals, and I want to make sure that their life is as unpleasant as possible. These people are disgusting freaks that are celebrating people being murdered in front of their children for having a different political view than them, and then trying to patronize and act like it's not a big deal. These are disgusting, awful people, and I don't give any degree of sympathy or any degree of empathy to them at all. They're terrible people and they should be treated like it. Absolutely. This isn't me being an asshole. This is me doing something that should have been done a long time ago. There has to be a counterbalance, or you have bullies and violent people like this that control your life. And that's why you need to push back against this. That's the reason why.
And look, the point is that what's going on here has proven more than anything that there is a big divide between what the players want and what the developers are making. Sure, some people will still buy these games, and that's their right if they want to, but it's become increasingly clear that this divide does need to be fixed. We already have EA being bought up by Saudi Arabia, Ubisoft being controlled by Tencent. The last thing the West needs right now in games is more things dividing their fans and making their control over the industry far worse in the future. And as game developers, these people need to understand that what they are making has to resonate with their players, or these franchises and their studios will crumble. And at worst, they will get absorbed by those with deep pockets that do not have similar politics to them, as EA is quickly going to find out. And Sucker Punch at least does have the safety net of Sony, but that still doesn't mean they can't have problems, as we saw with Firewalk Studios when Concord came out. Frankly, the release of Yotei, what it has and how people have reacted, it just makes me really sad, because I do like Sucker Punch's games. But they have decided to do what they did, and now they have flown into the sun with this one. I'm sure the game industry will love Ghost of Yotei, but that doesn't mean anything when the only people who speak vocally are those who share the same politics anyways, and I'm sure that Yotei will win something at the Game Awards, which is fine. But let's be real, Game Awards don't matter anyways. Nobody watches the Game Awards for who wins what. They only watch it for the trailers. Let's be real. If they got rid of the trailers, would you watch the Game Awards? Be honest with yourselves. You probably wouldn't. Yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, there were also claims that reviews of Yotei were also being deleted as seen here, but I don't know the validity of these myself. So it could be that Google's just deleting what they see as spam reviews from the same IP addresses, just keep posting them. But if that situation does develop, yeah, I'll look into that one further, don't worry. And in terms of actual user scores, as seen here from Google as well, users seem to be rating Yotei around a 3.6 out of 5, which is not terrible, not great either. And there was also this other post as seen here where someone posted a Best Buy full of copies of Yotei, and Vera Dark chimed in also, as you can see, saying that she also pre-ordered a copy, but never actually physically picked it up, so the backlog of copies unsold could also be pre-orders that people just decided not to pick up themselves at release. And a reminder as well, in case people don't also know, industry analysts and whatnot will also massage the numbers of games selling, and will do almost anything to make these things seem better if they can. A good example, and I'm not sure everyone actually knows this, is that even if a game is pre-ordered but not picked up, like in Vera Dark's case, or anyone else who pre-ordered Yotei but didn't pick it up themselves, that these analysts will still consider those copies as sold, and they will add them to the overall number when they report it officially, even if the actual copy was not sold for real money and physically picked up by the person that bought it but didn't actually buy it. That same Best Buy picture also, by the way. The user who posted it claimed that they talked to the staff at Best Buy and nobody has bought a single copy of the game yet from that particular Best Buy based on their sales data alone. So that being said, Sucker Punch and Sony will likely try to twist the numbers and say, oh, it sold this, but in actuality, a ton of pre-orders and whatnot never actually went through the transaction. So just some food for thought. Companies and stuff are shady like this always. I mean, just look at Xbox now. They lied about Game Pass growth for years to kind of prove my point as well. It does suck that things are so shady. Too bad it's not like Japan, at least, where they legally have to announce how many copies are sold of anything every week down to the very unit for transparency reasons. But in the West, you can just say it sold well, and when asked, you can just say, trust me, bro, and that's it. But to close out this video, I just want to say that it does make me happy to see so many people not buying into the political violence of these bloodthirsty types like this. That we can be all better than this, and we don't need to support things made by people who support domestic terrorism. I'm not saying that Sucker Punch is that per se, although based on that one dev and actor, it is, kind of obvious, but they can hopefully still turn their studio and image around in the future. And that this would now be the second game in a row releasing in the fall season starring Erika Ishii that has had massive negative blowback. Last year, it was Dragon Age Veilguard, which Erika played the main female character in, and now, of course, we have Yotei. Still baffles me, though, that Sucker Punch decided to use the face model of Erika. Maybe in the future, don't do that stuff anymore, yeah? I know it might hurt some voice actors' egos not seeing their faces in games, but for the added security benefit that your game doesn't get boycotted or something in the future, probably a good idea. Like, honestly, if Atsu didn't look like Erika Ishii, I may have played it, maybe, because I could have at least played with Japanese voice acting. But the way the game is now, it's basically impossible to enjoy that game because you're constantly reminded that this person you're playing as is a domestic terrorism supporter in the end anyways. Oh well, I guess I'm not the target audience, but it's still funny how mad people get that I'm not not buying it or playing it myself. It's just incredible how effective doing literally nothing works in mine and many players' favors when it comes to games we just don't want to support. And there's genuinely nothing anyone can do to deflect or change that idea at all. They can't make you buy anything. They can try to guilt trip you all they want. It really doesn't do anything. You can call me any word in the book you think applies, that I'm a Yahtzee or this phobic or that racist. Your words mean literally nothing anymore to me and many others. These people have ruined the concept of what these words mean anymore, and if you call me a Yahtzee or racist 10 years ago, maybe I would be shocked, but now, no, it means nothing anymore. Because I know I'm not a Yahtzee or racist, so it doesn't matter to me, and I hope me never buying this game continues to annoy the kinds of people who advocate and celebrate this sort of stuff in the future too. I hope it keeps them up at night wondering where it all went wrong, and I hope one day when they realize that the problem is really them, that it makes them come to terms with their own craziness so that they can also grow as people. But yeah, I'm not going to play Yotei, and I hope that annoys these people as much as it can, because it's just so funny to me, dude. But hey, you guys said I'm not the audience, so whoops, I guess I'm not going to buy it then. Oh well. Anyway, back to enjoying games I play for me instead, but what do you guys think? Is all this too much? Has that Drew Dev's new comments made you sympathize or walk away even more? And where do you draw the line when it comes to supporting stuff? How could Sucker Punch even reasonably bring you back if they could? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, subscribe, I'll see you next time, and I love living rent-free in these people's heads. It's so much fun, dude. Okay, bye.